All right, so before this video actually starts, I want to do something a little bit different. Rather this being just one of my typical sneaker reviews where I talk about my initial reaction, talk about my reaction after wearing it for a week, I want to do something a little bit more engaging. So the main conversation I want to have revolving this topic is whether or not you believe 3D printed shoes are going to be the future of footwear. Whether you disagree, whether you agree, that's the conversation I want to have. So as you're watching this video, I want you to kind of keep that in mind, and as you get closer to the end of the video, go ahead and let me know in the comments, what are your opinions? Do you think 3D printed shoes are going to be the future of footwear? Or do you think this is a long shot and you think that there's no way 3D printed shoes are going to be the future of footwear? But yeah, I just wanted to record this intro, so let's actually get into the real video. Alright, what's going on, man? It's your boy Creative Cloth, and I'm back with another video, man. Look, if I'm not starting somewhere, I'm not going nowhere. The time has finally come. I got the shoes. The ones that was supposed to be last week's video, I got them now. And if you see my YouTube short where I did the unboxing for this shoe, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not gonna give too much information in this first half of this video just because I want to just record this because I want to put these straight to feet. I want to wear them for a couple of days and build up more of a conversation on whether or not is 3D printed shoes going to be the future of shoes. Like, that is a conversation that needs a little bit more work, but I wanted to just get on here just to show y'all again and also just show y'all what came in the box and all that. So again, this is going to be the House of Era, ALIVEFORM 3D printed shoe. I first saw this shoe on Hypebeast because I kind of just casually just scrolled through Hypebeast just to see, you know, the latest on sneakers, culture, and all that. And I saw these shoes and I was like, bro, I have to get these shoes. So, bam, got them in hand. They're just as crazy in person. Like, they look crazy on camera, but they're just as crazy in person. Like, these shoes are ridiculous. Let me just showcase what came in the box and also the box itself, because I think the box itself is really dope. So here's the box right here. It's got the House of Airs right there. It also has like that typography on the box, kind of symbolic to like how the shoe looks. Overall, I think the box, super dope. This is what came on the inside of the box. Got the little dust bag that came with the shoes. This is like I believe this is like their logo right here. So House of Airs logo. Nice little dust bag. It also came with like this key right here. It says Society of the All-Seeing Keys, and this little piece kind of resembles like their logo again, like the all-seeing eye. This thing has some weight to it. Could be like a paperweight or something, but this is a nice little thing to add in there. And then finally, this is the card that came with it, and then on the back of it, the Topo 01 is designed to mold to your foot. Any slight kinks are inherent to the production process and will straighten out over time. Take care when using back slit to put the shoe on. So this little card is more so just like comments about the shoe and also like care. Yeah, this is everything that came with the shoe itself. Again, I think the box is a nice touch. Definitely a box that I plan on keeping just because of all the work that's on it. But yeah, I just wanted to record this part just because I wanted to put these straight on my feet and get to testing them out. You know, wear them in public, you know, see what the reaction is when people see them, and kind of just see what the whole thing of like 3D printed shoes is about. I'm starting to see a lot of companies venturing into the whole 3D printed shoe. So I just wanted to see, what is it all about? Again, I'll come back in a week or so, you know, with as far as comfortability, upkeep, the whole conversation about, are 3D printed shoes gonna be the future? I'll definitely be sure to add more information after I wear them, and also just about the brand itself, and just to get a better consensus on, is this the future of sneakers and shoes? But again, I'll catch y'all in a week. And we are back. So this is going to be the review portion of this video. And I'm gonna just go right off the bat, and I know the question I've been getting every day since I bought these shoes. The main question, are they comfortable? Now, let me just add this little piece of information. I ended up going with a size 10. Now, if you've been on my sneaker reviews, you know I'm like a typical 9, 9.5. I went with the 10 because on their website, they were like, oh, if you want comfort, you might want to go a half size up. If you want to go with your true size, it may fit a little bit firmer. So, you know, take that information with what you will. Me wanting comfort and them to actually fit, since there's no lacing and all that, I went with a 10. Now, when I initially put them on, they fit, but it was still kind of up in the air. Like, I wasn't flopping in them, but I also wasn't feeling the shoe out completely. So with that information being said, there's two things I want to add when it comes to comfort. On the first day of wearing these shoes, y'all know I wear these to work. I work in retail, I'm on my feet all day, 8 hours a day. Like when I wear test shoes, I put in the hours immediately. So I wear these for like 4 days straight and I couldn't get past the first 4 hours. On the first 4 hours of wearing these sneakers, I was already feeling the fatigue on my foot. And I was like, there's no way I'm gonna make it through the day. I still pushed through the rest of the day, but I knew once I got in the house, I knew exactly what I was gonna do. As soon as I got home, I added an extra insole just to like lighten up the pressure that was on the bottom of my foot when I was wearing these. And honestly, after adding the insole, like they felt a little bit better. Like it wasn't like, I would say before the insole, it was like 5 out of 10. After the insole, it was like 6.5 out of 10. Where I could wear it throughout the day. Yeah, my foot might get fatigued as I'm like just working, but overall, there was more comfort to be had when I added the insole. Now, the second thing may be a little nitpicky. I tried to capture it on video, so I'm gonna show this clip. So whenever I took a step in this shoe, if you can see, like right before I actually make a crease or bend in the shoe, it almost looks like I'm like stepping off a tiny cliff. I'm gonna try to slow it down to try to really get the effect of what's happening. But as you can see, as my foot steps down, I don't know if like I can describe this. The best way I can describe this is, it feels like I'm stepping off a small curb. So now every time that I wear them, I kind of just take note of that. It's kind of like impossible for me to not notice that it's there. But other than that, comfort wise, I would say after adding the insole, it was like a 6.5 out of 10. Without the insole, yeah, dude, I couldn't do it. It was like a 5 out of 10 for me. All right, so the next thing I want to jump into and talking about is uniqueness. I said what I said about comfort, but uniqueness? Oh, this is a 10 out of 10. This shoe is crazy, bro. I've never owned a shoe like this. I am a fan of people who step out of the boundaries of like the typical. I got so overwhelmed with seeing like 550s, Jordan 1 silhouette shoes, and like, you just have to appreciate people who are ready to push the envelope when it comes to just like clothing, shoe wears, just in general. Now, the first thing that came to mind when I looked at these shoes was like a topographic or like topography, I think I'm saying that right? A topography map, topographic, whatever. I think other website called it like a contour map, topographic map, kind of like the same thing. I think contour lines are the actual lines that's on the map, and the difference being that you could go up and down on a topographic map and that's like elevation, but like on contour maps, it's like you can go up and down, but you're not necessarily going up in elevation. Like you're just going or testing like the slope of something, if that makes sense. But yeah, when I first saw this, that's all I thought about. And I think that's kind of what they were going for, hence why they call it the Topo 1. Like I think that's exactly what they're going for with this shoe. So uniqueness wise, this is a 10 out of 10. I think this shoe did exactly what it was supposed to do, get people talking and just, you know, throw it out there and see what happens. And the last thing that I want to touch on as far as like the review of the shoe itself is the styling portion of it. Now I knew off rip that this was going to be a hard shoe to style just because like the way it looked online, I was like, yeah, I need to see that in person first. And once I got it in person, I knew this little piece right here was going to be a problem. Like you see it kind of tapers off and then like it gets like it becomes extremely long of a shoe. So I knew all this piece right here was gonna be hard, but I styled it with shorts. I styled it with like a slim profile pant and also styled it with super baggy pants. And I think out of all the ways that I styled it, I think the baggy pant is definitely gonna be the way I'm gonna be rocking it in the future, just because I think the baggy pant kind of masked some of the shape of the shoe itself. Like, it doesn't make it look too wonky. Like, compared to like the way it looks with shorts, I wasn't a fan of the shorts in the shoes. The slim pant, hey, I could probably do it if it has like a boot cut finish at the bottom, but everything else, I'm not really a fan of it. And it doesn't look good with denim either. I tried it on with different pairs of denim. I just wasn't a fan of how it looked. That's just my personal preference on that. But yeah, baggy pants is definitely gonna be the way I style these shoes in the future. I mean, that already fits my typical outfit, so that's no problem with me. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the review portion of this video. And I'll just add this one little thing just because I almost forgot to add this piece in there. You definitely wanna avoid big puddles. You don't wanna step into a big puddle with these shoes. As you can see here, these little holes right here, and these holes right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it all leads through the shoe, like along the side of it. So you definitely just wanna avoid puddles. You don't wanna step in nothing, because if you're wearing socks, they're definitely gonna get wet. And who likes wet socks? Now, when I first got this shoe, my mind started racing immediately. I'm just like, is this the future of footwear? Is it not? You know, what other brands have done this? Like, you know, it just opened a Pandora's box to the idea of like the typical manufacturer process for sneakers, and are we gonna move to 3D printing? Now, just keep in mind, this is not the first 3D printed shoe ever, and it's also not the first time that 3D printing has been introduced to shoes. I think the first notable one, for sure for me, it was when Adidas did the 3D printed midsole for their shoe. And that was the first time that 3D printing was kind of like brought to my attention. However, I will say that the House of Era ALIVEFORM shoe is the first time I've seen a completely 3D printed shoe in person and actually owned a pair and wore. So gearing up to making this video, I just took to the internet, trying to soak up as much information as possible as far as like, you know, 3D printing. You know, people say it's sustainable, but is it actually sustainable? Is it better than the manufacturing process that's currently happening with sneakers? People also say that, you know, it is the future. Some people say it's not the future. So there's so many things that's happening. I kind of just want to touch on a few topics when it comes to 3D printing as a whole. And just based on the information I've been able to collect about 3D printing, I will start with the pros first. Now, one pro that comes to mind immediately, just looking at this shoe, is creativity. They are able to do so much more with 3D printing versus like the traditional way of manufacturing shoes. There's more intricacies, there's more creativity, there's more, you could just bend and twist the rules when it comes to footwear when you're doing 3D printing. Now, the second thing that comes to mind when I think of 3D printing, I think of waste. So when I'm thinking about making a shoe, you know, you think about all the materials, all the pieces you're gonna need to actually make a shoe. You know, the laces, leather, you know, all the little aspects that go into making a shoe. You actually have to make the shoe. Granted, you know, let's say you have a problem, you have to go in and fix that and grab more materials. So I think of all that when it comes to making like the traditional shoe versus a machine that could, you know, as long as it has the right coding and the right programming, is gonna pretty much print out the shoe exactly how you want it. Like, I think of the waste that goes into just like the overall manufacturing process, the traditional way, and I also think of the way that, you know, if this is the future, how much waste can actually be saved, because a lot of 3D printed shoes are actually made to order too. I know ALIVEFORM does that. And I think there's another brand out in LA that does that as well. Like, they make the shoe to order rather than just creating a bunch of shoes and trying to push out the inventory. And just to piggyback off that last one, I think another thing that I think of when I think of 3D printing is time consumption. So again, the example that I set as far as like making a shoe, designing it by hand, cutting materials, trying to shape it into the shape that you want, you know, can be a time consumption versus a machine, knowing that it's coded correctly and knowing that the program is all right, that is going to put out exactly what you put into it. But again, not having any personal experience with 3D printing, nor have I actually seen a machine. There's only so much knowledge that I can acquire online and condense into this video. And that's some of the pros that I found online. So let's get into some of the cons that I found. And honestly, I couldn't find many cons when it came to 3D printing. There were plentiful pros, plentiful, on many different websites. But when it came to cons, it was more so like a handful of cons. And here are some of the ones that I found. So one of the ones that I found was, you know, let's say for example, 3D printing takes off, takes over the whole footwear industry, and it puts people out of jobs who currently work in those factories that are producing all this footwear, all these shoes across the globe. Like, that is definitely a con, because we want to keep people employed. You definitely don't want to just have a mass layoff across the globe. Another con that I found, which I can't speak too much of just because I don't understand the whole process, but some websites were saying that it takes a lot of energy consumption to actually make those machines work. So, you know, again, trying to figure out the impact on the earth. Does that outweigh, you know, the current manufacturing process versus now? Again, I don't know all of it, but it seems like there's definitely a weighted scale here where 3D printing is pretty much less impactful than it is for the traditional manufacturing of footwear, fashion in general. But again, there weren't many cons. Again, if you have any cons or worked within this industry of 3D printing or know much about it, go ahead and drop a comment, because I'm definitely trying to learn more about it as things unfold. And I think of 3D printing the same way that I think of AI. You know, two concepts which have been around for, you know, fairly long time, but I feel like they're getting more media coverage just because things are advancing so quickly and we don't really know where things are gonna lead. So we're kind of just in the testing phase on whether or not 3D printing is gonna be the future of footwear. Now, do I think that 3D printing is gonna be the future of footwear? No, I don't think it is currently at the level to compete with, you know, let's say you have an all leather shoe. You know, once you break in that leather shoe, man, it's yours. It's like molded to your foot. Or like a canvas sneaker, or like, you know, these shoes that we have kind of grown accustomed to as a society. I don't think it's gonna be anytime soon where 3D printing shoes are gonna outbeat someone's closet where they already have, you know, leather goods or like a canvas sneaker. Like, I don't think we're at that point, but I think it's a great point to note that 3D printing definitely has the competitive edge when it comes to creativity. So if we're gonna speak to creativity, they may be onto something, and I'm very interested to see what that thing is. But again, let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think 3D printing is the future of footwear? Let me know your thoughts on this shoe, and let me know your thoughts on shoes that you've probably seen already. Let me know, let's chit chat in the comments. I'm all for it, whether you disagree or whether you agree, let me know. But without further ado, like I always do, I'll catch you on the next one.
But I love the way you work it. Ay, I love the way you work it.